Now get the guns, the drugs from my generation. I'll take the fall, the saints, and across the nation. And it's a sex, the gods, the fakes, the fraud, they're messing with me. Come on, come on, come on. Let's get it out. Move to the music, play that fucking music. Live through my music, yeah.
Welcome to a special edition of Reliving the War. This week we would have normally looked at the 12th of February 1996 Raw vs Nitro ratings battle, but the WWF show was actually preempted this week, so WCW put on an unopposed episode of Nitro. Seeing as we also have two pay-per-views to look at, I decided to upload this special edition of Reliving the War so we can cover SuperBrawl 6, In Your House 6, and the unopposed 12th of February episode of WCW Monday Nitro. There will be no scoring system this week, so let's use today's episode to get caught up in preparation for next week's Raw vs Nitro battle. SuperBrawl 6 took place on the 11th of February, live from St. Petersburg, Florida. The show kicked off with another Nasty Boys vs Public Enemy match. This time it was a street fight. The Nasty Boys got the win, and just like at the Clash of the Champions, it wasn't a bad opener. Johnny B. Bad defeated Diamond Dallas Page. The winner of the match would apparently receive the remainder of Kimberly's lottery winnings, totaling $6.6 million. And the winner would also retain the services of the Diamond Doll. Johnny B. Bad got the win with a tombstone piledriver. After the match, he gave Kimberly the remainder of her own money, whatever. This was Johnny B. Bad's last pay-per-view appearance for WCW. He would soon make his first WWF TV appearance at WrestleMania 12. Lex Luger and Sting defeated Harlem Heat to retain the WCW titles. This means Luger and the Stinger will go on to face the Road Warriors later in the broadcast. Road Warrior Animal showed up and he hit Stevie Ray with a metal sheet. Sting didn't see the interference. Remember, the Stinger wasn't very happy about the tainted wins that his tag partner was getting as of late. Konnan successfully defended his United States title against the one-man gang. It was a terrible mismatch. And then the infamous I Respect You match took place in the middle of the ring between the Taskmaster and Brian Pillman. After around 60 seconds of action, Pillman grabs the microphone and he says, "I respect you, Booker Man," before leaving the ring. Apparently only Pillman and Sullivan knew that this was going to happen. Kevin Sullivan was indeed the head booker of WCW, so the lines were being blurred here and fans weren't quite sure what to make of it. Even the commentators were confused, but this all fed into Brian's loose cannon gimmick quite nicely. Eventually Arn Anderson comes to the ring and the enforcer takes Pillman's place in the match. Ric Flair hits the ring and he just breaks up the fight. Remember, the Dungeon of Doom and the Horsemen had this working agreement to end Hulkamania. So yeah, a lot of confusion here. It makes for a great story to look back on, but at the time, fans didn't know what on earth was going on. The Road Warriors versus Sting and Luger ended in a double countout. The Road Warriors seemed more concerned about beating up Lex Luger than winning the titles. Ric Flair once again became the WCW champion when he defeated Randy Savage inside the steel cage. Miss Elizabeth gave Ric Flair her shoe to attack the Macho Man with, and so Miss Elizabeth had turned her back on Randy Savage and joined forces with the Nature Boy. This was easily the match of the night for me. Finally, Hulk Hogan escaped the cage and he won his match against the Giant. Hogan destroyed the Dungeon of Doom after the match, and we got to see the WCW debut of the Loch Ness Monster. I'm not kidding. Nessie here is better known as Giant Haystacks to fans in the UK. His rivalry with Big Daddy brought in huge ratings for ITV during the 70s, but his WCW run of the mid-90s is all but completely forgotten, and for good reason too. It was awful. Haystacks doesn't do anything here. A match against Hogan is teased for the future. So let's take a quick look at the In Your House 6 results taking place in Louisville, Kentucky. Razor Ramon defeated the 1-2-3 Kid in their Crybaby match. Sean Waltman ended up getting put in a diaper after the final bell, but still it was a solid match. Hunter Hearst Helmsley defeated Duke the Dumpster Drosy in what felt like a total waste of time. Yokozuna and Davey Boy Smith only went for around 5 minutes and their match ended in a disqualification. Jim Cornette whacked Yokozuna with his tennis racket a few times, and so Yokozuna won the match. Shawn Michaels defeated Owen Hart to ensure his WrestleMania 12 title shot remained intact. Nobody really believed Shawn was going to lose his title opportunity here, and this kinda takes away from the match. Still, it's a good bout, but I do wish it was a little longer. Vince McMahon's overselling of Shawn Michaels on commentary was thrown into overdrive here. If you want your daily dose of cringe, listen to Vinnie Mac during this match. Roddy Piper made an appearance next, and this led to a match being booked for WrestleMania, Vader versus Yokozuna. The match didn't happen in the end, it was changed to a 6-man tag, but we'll cover that when we get there. Finally, Bret Hart defeated Diesel inside the steel cage when The Undertaker showed up, dragging Big Daddy Cool under the ring and allowing Bret to make the escape. Due to how this finish was booked and Bret's refusal to take Diesel's jackknife powerbomb, Diesel decided immediately after this match that he would join his buddy Razor Ramon in seeking employment elsewhere. Scott Hall had been talking to Diamond Dallas Page about coming into WCW, and Hall had gotten an offer. Nash felt that Bret was being selfish by refusing to take the powerbomb, even though Bret was scheduled to win the match. The Hitman argued that taking the powerbomb meant that Diesel had the match won, and because The Undertaker would have helped Bret to win the match, Bret said he would have looked weak going into WrestleMania 12. This wasn't the only catalyst for Nash leaving, of course. Money was also a big factor, but the finish of Diesel versus Hart at In Your House 6 was pretty much the straw that broke the camel's back, according to Nash anyway. In Your House 6 drew only 5,500 fans to the Louisville Gardens, a truly abysmal gate number and another clear indicator of how bad business had gotten during this time period. We're one night removed from SuperBrawl, and Eric Bischoff kicks things off by letting us know who won the title matches last night. So as a reminder, Flair is the world champion, Sting and Luger are the tag champions, Konnan is the United States champion, and Johnny B. Bad is the television champion. We get a bunch of screenshots from the pay-per-view as Eric Bischoff runs down the results. Eric says that Brian Pillman left the building last night after his match, and Brian Pillman is now history. Brian did indeed leave WCW, and his exit was quite controversial. Apparently he agreed to come back to WCW after causing some mayhem in other companies, but after a trip to ECW, Brian signed with the World Wrestling Federation later in the year. To this day, Eric Bischoff is still adamant that Pillman was going to come back to WCW, but I guess we will never know. Hugh Morrus makes his way to the ring for the first match of the evening. Morrus is going up against former WCW World Champion Randy Savage in the opening contest on Nitro. Bischoff lets us know that Savage will get a WCW title rematch next week on Nitro as the Macho Man's entrance music plays in the arena. The commentary team noticed that Randy isn't his usual self as he makes his way to the ring. Elizabeth, siding with Ric Flair, has made Savage a changed man, it seems. We have a total brawl to start things off. Both men are throwing strikes at each other with neither man getting the upper hand. Not much wrestling going on as Hugh Morrus gets a slight advantage after a rake to the eyes, but by and large, it's a lot of back and forth here. The fight eventually spills to the outside. Savage swings the match in his favour after ramming his opponent's head into the ring post. The Macho Man tries to keep up the momentum by going for a suplex, but Morrus reverses with a suplex of his own. Savage answers with a double axe handle to the face, followed by a back elbow in the corner. Morrus replies with a body slam before going to the top rope. A huge moonsault is missed, and this allows Randy Savage to hit a body slam of his own before going upstairs. Randy delivers his diving elbow. We think Savage is going for the pin, but the Macho Man climbs up for one more big elbow drop. 1, 2, 3, and it's over. Not a great match here. Neither man had an advantage for more than 10 seconds, and this led to a real lack of heat and storytelling. Just going through the motions and getting it done with, really. Savage goes to deliver another elbow drop, but Morrus rolls out of the ring. The Macho Man grabs the microphone to tell fans that he's coming for Ric Flair, and Randy then takes the time to briefly talk to a fan in a wheelchair before the segment comes to an end. This little moment here actually saved the segment for me. It's always good to see things like this. Mean Gene Okerlund is standing at the entranceway with Steve Grissom, a WCW motorsports driver who's driving a WCW stock car in some sort of upcoming race. I've no clue about motorsports, so I can't comment here at all. Steve says lots of fans in the arena tonight also watched the races, and I think that's a bit of a stretch, but again, I can't comment. The WCW stock car looks pretty cool though. I'm waiting for someone to make this in Forza Horizon. The American Male's excellent theme song plays in the arena as we get ready for our next match, Scotty Riggs versus Giant Haystacks himself, Loch Ness. This match here was absolutely brutal. Scotty Riggs throws everything at Loch Ness, but the big man doesn't budge. Scotty goes to the top rope for a crossbody. Haystacks was supposed to catch Riggs and drive him to the mat, but it's botched pretty badly. Loch Ness then delivers 2 elbow drops and it's over just like that. As mentioned earlier, so many fans of the older generation here in the UK would know the name Giant Haystacks right away, but this WCW run here was really awful. Jimmy Hart even has to point the big man towards the hard camera for his victory celebrations. Haystacks was getting close to the end here. His WCW career would finish up quite abruptly when he was diagnosed with cancer, but he will make another few appearances on Nitro, for better or for worse. Haystacks would only last around 6 weeks in WCW, but still, all things considered, this match was really bad. If Raw was on TV here at the same time, the WWF would have scored an easy point for sure. We have another interview spot next as Miss Elizabeth and Woman wheel out a hospital bed to the entranceway. Mean Gene has no idea what's going on. Gene wants to have a word with Miss Elizabeth. The First Lady of Wrestling says that Randy Savage promised us that someone would leave SuperBrawl on a gurney, and that's exactly what happened. Ric Flair then pops up from the bed holding the WCW title, and the Nature Boy delivers an excellent promo in a way that only Ric Flair can. The Nature Boy struts around with Elizabeth and Woman while boasting about becoming a 13-time WCW champion. Flair says that Space Mountain is open all night tonight and his ladies hold on to his every word. Elizabeth is then given some time to explain her actions. She says for years she stood in Randy Savage's corner and she's watched the Macho Man do his thing while she wasn't allowed to say a word. Elizabeth says that she took half of everything Randy had through their divorce and now she's taken away the thing that meant the most to him, the WCW title. There's a brief moment where Liz forgets her lines and it leads to an awkward silence, but Flair's there to make the save. Good stuff here. If you want to see an excellent and eccentric Flair promo, look no further than the February 12th, 1996 episode of Monday Nitro. Next up we have Devon Storm versus Konnan. Devon has the worst match graphic ever here. Not sure what this facial expression's supposed to be, but anyway, Dangerous Devon Storm is maybe better known as Crowbar to fans of WCW. Check out his Twitter account by the way, he posts some good in-character videos. This match here is for the US title. Not sure what to expect, so let's see what happens. Storm starts things off by drop-kicking Konnan to the outside. Storm then grabs a steel chair and he uses it as a platform, helping him pull off a plancha. Devon then begins rearranging the furniture. It looks like he's going for a seated senton from the ring steps onto a seated Konnan, but Konnan grabs his opponent. It looks a little shaky at first, but Konnan drills Storm with a powerbomb to the outside. Back inside the ring, Konnan is able to bring a clothesline to Storm, followed by a series of head scissor takedowns and arm drags. Everything looks good and everything is on point. The two men then trade leg locks. Storm hits a springboard sidekick before missing a powerbomb to the outside, and just as Konnan begins reversing the move, Eric Bischoff is forced to make an apology. Remember the power outage last week on Nitro? Well, on the WCW hotline, WCW said that the WWF caused the power outage in an act of sabotage. Bischoff said here that it was a joke, it wasn't meant to be taken seriously, and WCW is sorry if anyone took the joke as factual information. The match comes to an end when Storm tries to set Konnan up for a top rope Frankensteiner. Konnan reverses with a huge powerbomb from the top rope followed by a pinning combination. Loads of impact here as Konnan scores the win. A good match from Nitro that felt really fresh. Our main event this evening sees Hulk Hogan taking on Arn Anderson of the Four Horsemen, well, the Three Horsemen as it were. Woman brings Arn Anderson down to the ring, and I just noticed we have over 15 minutes of TV time remaining, so expect some shenanigans after the match. Hulk Hogan comes out with his eye patched up, and the match gets underway as a fan holds up a sign that says, "Bischoff is Satan." Arn goes to drill Hulk Hogan into the turnbuckle, but Hogan no-sells it, brother. The Hulkster goes after Anderson with a series of punches in the corner. Double A answers with a clothesline, but once again, Hogan no-sells it. Hulk is so hot and cold during this time period. I don't know if he's picking and choosing who to have competitive matches with or what the story is, but it's odd to see him work decent matches one week and then reverting back to his old ways the next. Hogan throws Anderson outside of the ring and the enforcer lures Hogan in for an attack, walking past a conveniently placed steel chair that I guarantee will come into play a little later on. Hogan ends up delivering a slingshot to Double A before ramming the enforcer's arm into the ring post multiple times, and back inside the ring, Hogan chokes Anderson with his wrist tape while the referee was distracted. Double A just isn't getting a chance here as the Hulkster delivers an atomic drop followed by a side suplex. Bobby Heenan begins wondering why Hogan won't go for a pin attempt as the beating continues. Hogan crotches the enforcer on the top rope before Arn is finally allowed to get in some offense. The audience stands up and points to the entranceway, and out walks the Nature Boy arm in arm with Miss Elizabeth. Anderson hits the spine buster, but Hogan kicks out and begins hulking up. We see the big boot, and then Hogan mocks Ric Flair by strutting around the ring before applying the figure 4 leg lock. Flair runs in, but Hogan rolls the Nature Boy up, showing us that Hogan could easily make Double A tap out while pinning the WCW champion at the same time. Woman ends up throwing powder into the Hulkster's eyes. Miss Elizabeth's footwear is used once again as a weapon, and Arn Anderson defeats Hulk Hogan on Monday Nitro. While the enforcer and the Nature Boy were celebrating, Hogan wakes up and he takes out the Horsemen all on his own. Randy Savage shows up and he uses that steel chair that was conveniently placed at ringside, but the Macho Man didn't even need to be there. Hogan was cleaning house and he was doing fine on his own. The Horsemen run off to the commentary table where they gloat about their recent victories. Savage and Hogan sneak up on Flair and Anderson, totally forgetting that there's monitors at the WCW commentary booth, and the Horsemen get chased off. Mean Gene interviews Hogan and Savage. The Hulkster says he'll get revenge next week on Nitro, while Savage is totally fired up for his title shot. The show ends with the Hulkster saying that the days of Mr. Nice Guy Hogan are over. This episode of Nitro wasn't too great if I'm honest. Konnan and Devon storm delivered in the ring, and Ric Flair's promo with Elizabeth and Woman definitely hit the spot, but there wasn't much else to get excited about here. You'd think that WCW would pull out all the stops for an unopposed episode of Nitro, but that just didn't happen. Still, Nitro drew a 3.7 rating, their biggest television audience to date. A golden opportunity to secure more fans, but in the end, Nitro was a little mediocre. Raw's back on television next week though, so business will resume here on Reliving the War as WWF begins their build towards WrestleMania 12, while WCW gears up for Uncensored 96. Thanks for watching this special episode of Reliving the War, and I'll see you all next week.